episode 2 of What the Hell to Main in 10.1. And this time around, we're gonna talk about Hunter. More specifically, the most
BMist of the Hunter. Because, I mean, you know, it's not a two-button spec anymore. And it's actually a nice spec to raid with if you're a raid leader.
I think it's one of the best specs to raid in any circumstance or to play the game, but I don't have any like solid arguments for it. I'm just somebody who watches it from the side. However, we have Sunshade here with us. Hello.
Hello.
And Sunshade is on and off main hunter for a while, right? And she will maybe give you some more
in-depth tips about the intricacies of maining a BM.
Yeah. So, Sun.
Reasons.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why would BM Hunter be a proper solution as a main for the good people watching this?
I mean, there are actually a lot of reasons. It wouldn't seem that way on a first look, but actually Hunter has a lot of things. First of all, you can think of the fantasy, because BM Hunter is amazing, right? You have the fantasy of taming these like dangerous wild animals. You get rare pets, like back in Firelands we had some rare pets where you actually had to do special tactics to get them. There were, you know, it was only a BM Hunter thing. Nobody else could do any of this. And it's the satisfaction of actually getting a rare pet sometimes. Like if you go and farm a pet that other people just come and kill you and you find his corpse there and you're like, I've farmed this for weeks and I never found him. And this guy just comes and kills it. And, you know, it's something really different from all the other classes. No other class tames their things.
Especially if you're a pet person.
Right.
Yes, that is actually why I started BM in the first place. When I first started playing WoW, I was most interested in 3 classes, and those were Druid because it shapeshifts, Warlock because it has the demon pets, and Hunter because it has all the pets. So
yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, you know, it's easy.
Makes
but
sense.
Outside of this social play and casual play where you just like the pets and all of that, the play style is great. Even if people say it's boring and 3 buttons and you don't need any skill for it, it is a game you're supposed to enjoy, right?
True.
Oh, for sure. People ignore the fun aspect a little bit too much.
Yeah.
And hey, just to your point, it's probably more simplistic when you think about it, but I don't think BM Hunter's particularly easy, or at least as easy as people expect. Most definitely in AoE, since you have a little bit of you have like a very short specific timer where you can do things, and lag does not help. No.
I mean, if you're lagging, just get another potato. But no, and actually it's a bit more complicated in single target, because you have 5, 6 main buttons and 2, 3 other cooldowns and kill shots for the execute range and all that. On top of that, you have a lot of defensives. You have your pet mechanics, all of that. There's a lot of intricacies to it, even though you wouldn't think so. And it's not really I don't think it's actually the easiest class out there.
Is there something like that? I mean, at this point, just talking about enjoyment, even if it's maybe on the easier side of the spectrum, if people enjoy that, it's absolutely fine.
I mean,
it definitely is. Like, it's great for new players to try out.
There
like,
you go.
In general, you have 1 dot to look after, right? You have barbed shot, you keep it on 3 stacks, and that's the only thing you need to worry about as a new player. It doesn't hurt you so much if you mess up your rotation, which is also circles back to the raid leading discussion, because when you're in a raid and you have to look at raid frames to see who's dying, who's not dying, who's taking damage, you look at timers to call out things, especially of course, this depends very much on the guild. If the guild needs everything to be called or not, then you have to look at your feet to not stand in fire. You have to do your own tactics. We had, for example, we had that Diurna try on Mythic where we had the markers, but people couldn't focus in the first couple of tries which ad to go to. So I removed all the markers from the ads and I was putting a rainbow around one of the ads. I did like healer level damage on that fight because I was just placing markers the entire fight, and all of that. So you don't actually have time to look at yourself so much. It's the only class that has on the move DPS. There is nothing that stops it. It's the only class that didn't care about quaking.
True.
What even is
Lots of advantages in that terms. I mean, raid mechanics, mythic plus affixes, always on the move. I think that's huge for a ranged DPS.
Oh, and I
that
think
could be like the biggest appeal for me to get back into it once again. I feel just like having that ease of playing my class, enjoying my fantasy, being decent in the meters or maybe top, who knows, and just having a good old time.
Oh yeah, and one of the coolest things that I think BM brings, I think it's the only class in the game that has all of the CCs. It
doesn't have all of the CCs, man.
It does.
Stun,
No.
in-cap roots, it has taunt, it has immune, it has heal, it has feign death. What
It
else?
has invisibility. It has stealth.
It has disorient.
Doesn't have
It
blind.
has dispels.
It has in-cap. Okay, well, yeah. What is blind? Is that disorient? Because you have scatter shot.
I've scattered shot, schmatter shot.
Schmatter.
But you cannot have all of them at once. You still have to pick and
No,
choose.
well, I
But
mean, you
it
can- No,
does-
But you
it-
pick
it-
and choose depending on a fight.
It does have the options to get any type of CC.
Yeah, that's for sure. And the fact that you can use pets, although we're gonna completely glance over the fact that survival can also tame pets. Survival does not even a spec, but the fact that you can also taunt, I found this very helpful in some of the dungeons. And whenever there's a tank buster coming, or there's like a fortified, bolstered dude for like 5 stacks and the tank's like 10% HP, you can taunt with your pet, 1 melee attack, maybe your pet dies, but the tank survives, either gets it up. There's certain things that you can do with Beast Mastery that, on top of the freedom of being able to do your rotation on the move, and let me tell you, that feels so good, dude. After playing in a week where you have to like dodge mechanics, BM is just, oh my, it's like you're opening your window in the morning and fresh air just like washes over.
Yeah. Until a small bug comes in and gets into your mouth, and you're just like, what the hell? It must not be my pet. Yeah.
Well, you can tame the little bug.
I think, is there like bug pets? Like,
There are,
Big
but
ass-
they're really big.
well, not the ones that would fly through your window.
Probably not, man. What you see in the dreams.
What
I mean,
about-
you've seen the beasts in WoW. They are not the correct size.
Well, yeah, of course. I think like the bugs from like Shadowlands in what is the zone is called? Dead
Night
Knight
Fae?
zone.
No.
Not Night.
Ardenwold.
No, the Dead Knight zone. I forgot what it's
Oh,
called.
Maldraxxus.
Maldraxxus.
Yeah, there was
Oh.
some interesting bugs over there. But what about like mechanics and how like the class plays? Like you touched a little bit on the barb shot, maintaining the barb shot stuff and all of that. How does it go from there? Like, okay, raid leading aside. So if you're not raid leading or whatever, you just focus on the DPS. Can a masterful BM hunter, a masterful beast mastery hunter, how does that sound? Can a BM hunter be close to the top of the damage if he's like mastering everything to perfection?
At the moment, Hunter is actually really good in single target. And let's say in the future it gets nerfed. Hunter is a pure DPS class. It has marksman and survival. Pure DPS classes like mages, hunters, warlocks, I think they will always have one class to fall back on that will be good. But speaking of right now, Hunter is good for single target. It's not really bursty, but it's sustained damage, which is way more important, I think. Besides the barbed shot dot, which we talked about, which improves your pet, you also get a bleed that you need to track with bloodshed. It buffs your pet damage while it's active. You call even more pets, which also give you haste. What else you have? You have Bestial Wrath, which is a 1.5 minute cooldown, which gets reduced when you use your barbed shots. Sometimes, really, it doesn't really feel like a cooldown because you can bring it down to like 30 seconds or something. You just pop it on cooldown. You just have it active a lot. Barbed shot itself gets procs with Wild Call, where your auto attacks have a chance to reset it, like a 20% chance. It's quite high. And as for AoE, even though things are a bit simpler, just because you have less buttons to press, you don't have bloodshed or call the other pet. You do have multi-shot, which you need to press once in a while, once every few seconds, to get your pet to do AoE for you. BM is basically the spec where your pet does all the work. You can even get a glyph to have it loot shit for you. If you're lazy enough to go loot the boss, you send your pet, he goes, he clicks it, and then you get the loot.
Now that changes the game for me a little bit.
I mean, yeah, it definitely. What about utility? You guys mentioned like the CC things. Obviously, that's super useful, especially in Mythic Plus or whatever. Does it have like a specific utility? Let's say for a raid group. Let's talking about 10.1, which will be a much more single target focused raid. So probably BM will be maybe a Shining Star over there, since single target is a little bit more.
It's likely going
efficient.
to be at
but
least
utility-wise, in the raid, does it bring something like clearly that you would need for it, or?
There are many things you can use. First of all, you have the mobility. And again, I say mobility, not speed. It's not very speedy, especially on long runs. You have aspect of the cheetah, which is a 90% speed increase for 3 seconds. You get somewhere really fast. And then again, for the next couple of seconds, it's 30%, but you just want to get there quickly. You have disengage, which is not only... Okay, it's tougher to use. You can't use it uphill, all of that shit. Make sure you don't jump off platforms when you use it, but it gives you a 50% speed increase on a 20-second cooldown. It's really strong. And it also removes any root and snare effects if you're spec'd into Pathfinder. For example, in the current raid, if you use that on the Broodkeeper when she does the Ice Shield, then you remove the healing absorption. It's
Cool.
very strong. Well, we have more stuff. We have Trailblazer and all of that, but we generally don't spec into them. We have aspect of the turtle, which is a immunity. This is so important in a raid. There's always something to soak or to immune. Thinking of the Kurok Mythic fight, you use it twice. You use it one time on the fire fire area to soak the little swirlies, and then you use it again on the icy platform to immune one of them. You have immunity to grips, immunity to pushbacks. Not always good, but you just need to know when to use it. We have exhilaration. We have survival of the fittest as defensives on top of turtle, which shouldn't really be used as a defensive, I think, if you need an immunity. For Mythic Plus, we have AoE slows. We have Flare for seeing stealth mobs. We have healing through our pets, through Spirit Mend. Defensives with Fortitude of the Bear. Bloodlust.
Oh yeah. I think that's the biggest one.
Each of the exotic pets you have, because BM is the only one that can tame exotic pets, they have their own special abilities. If you go to Petopia, you can check out there everything that they have. But yeah, we have, I don't know, you can use skips for your group. You can pull stuff with your pets. With Eyes of the Beast, you send your pet to pull trash away or to pull them. In Iron Dogs, they used to use this to pull a bunch of trash in front of the Iron Stars and nuke them down instantly. We have AoE Silence. I don't know, there are so many things in the toolkit.
Weren't there like
defensive
pets?
Stuns.
I remember this from back in the PvP days. Wasn't there like pets who would reduce healing taken?
That's kind of standard for a bunch of them. I know the Devilsaurs do like Mortal Strike effect, and I know there's a bunch of others. There are pets that give you Water Walk, Slow Fall.
Mortal Wounds, I think it was called. There are pets with magic defense. We used to have back in Pandaria, we had a battle res pet, but then they removed it.
They took it away. I mean, that's actually, I think that's the only thing that Beastmaster cannot do is actually battle res somebody.
I mean, you can just be an engineer or get the res. But yeah, speaking of PvP, you have the Cunning pets, the Cunning family, which gives you movement speed, and Master's Call, which stops movement impairing effects. If you need something, a hunter has it or can get it if you really try.
That's the thing. So basically, in terms of like the overall spectrum of skill mastery, it still requires a lot of skill and practice to be able to perform well. However, it's less punishing if you mess up.
Much less.
Yeah, you can definitely see that. Obviously, it's a huge advantage for you, Sun, because you're also raid leading. So having a class that is still able to do its thing while also being aware of a lot of things happening at the same time. I mean, if you watching this are planning to like raid lead or even dungeon lead.
Dungeon push, keep push.
Yeah, I don't know if it's leading, but
grind.
It can
sometimes it's needed. Okay, sometimes it's needed even in dungeons.
I agree. it would be like the best suitable spec for it. But not only that, the fact that it has so many things going for it, I was curious in terms of like the builds. Is there like build diversity within the BM Hunter spec talent tree currently, or are you like super okay? This is the AOE build, this is the single target. There's no in between. And I'm asking this because, just parenthesis, since the Paladin rework, I've seen like hybrid builds being a thing, like hybridization. Okay, you can go decent AOE, yeah, half exactly. Is there something like that with the BM talent tree?
There is a hybrid build. I don't use it often though, because in dungeons I generally go AOE. Maybe not in Court of Stars, let's say, because the packs are really small. If it's a tyrannical week, but in general, I prefer to stay with the single target or the AOE spec. However, there is this hybrid spec. There is the spec where you can take Wailing Arrow or not. There are many options in both the class tree and the spec tree. And the thing I love about 10.1, the tier set does not force you into a specific talent set. It is the kind of tier set that I think should be available for all the classes. It does not push you into changing your rotation. It's optional only for extra damage. I can pick and choose whichever talents I want to play in what content, and not be forced into a specific side of the tree, or taking 3 useless talents to go to the talent I need to use the set. To mention it, the 2 set improves your Cobra Shot and Kill Command by 15%. So these are your main attack spells. And the 4 set reduces the cooldown of your Bestial Wrath with each Kill Command, Cobra Shot, and multi-shot. So it's just the spells you actually use in your rotation normally. And yeah, damage increase and cooldown reduction.
What more can you ask for?
Exactly that.
I mean, it's in the same zone where BM is generally placed at. Okay, don't overcomplicate things if it's unnecessary. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
I like tier sets that alter my rotation, but again, enjoyment of a spec and of a class and spec is totally subjective, so I'm not gonna go in there. But I do agree, like if there's a tier set who forces you into a specific build or talent, that's just lame. I mean, that just negates everything that they're trying to achieve with the talents in general, right?
That's what happens with a couple of specs, and so far from what we've heard, it's not a appeal for a lot of people. But I think the tier set is good, like you mentioned. It retains the aspect of giving BM the most amount of freedom possible to do a lot of things, because although, you know, kind of like in conclusion, BM is not like complicated in any way, like super complicated, but it does have like a lot of tools. It feels like you can juggle like a lot of stuff at the same time with all the utility that you have, with all the freedom that you have. And oh, by the way, they are also changing, I think, a talent near Call of the Wild, which is something that we don't use right now. So there's even more stuff to discover in the next patch, depending on what kind of builds will be cooked up. And I personally, when I made the BM for the first time, I was like, I really want to learn the raid. I really want to learn the fight. And if it's your first time going into raids, or if you're first time trying to push raids, I think this is a good spec for you to pick up, to actually be able to pay attention at mechanics and learn how everything is without being like super involved and super focused on your rotation. BM Hunter is amazing.
Not only that, Dungeons 2, open world stuff, you know, questing, it's all there. Like BM is one of the like the smoothest class specs to go into like almost every aspect of the game. So as a final question, shall we recommend BM Hunter as a main for 10.1?
I definitely recommend it, yes.
Definitely.
Look, it depends very much if you enjoy it, but and now speaking to the people who are like, oh, it requires no skill, it's such a simple class, I don't want to play that, I want, you know, to be competitive. And if people wouldn't enjoy this class, simple or not simple, then it would have been reworked or changed or taken out of the game. There's a lot of people playing. The game is not only for hardcore raiders pushing CE, it's also for casual players who like to do quests.
True.
Yep. I think it's one of the most played specs anyway in the game. So
I don't think there was like that. I mean, sure, there is a vocal minority speaking about BM needs a total rework because it's too simple, blah, 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 but it's still a minority.
We need a simple class.
Of course, there's
Fun to play, just fun.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this is why.
Story mode, not hard mode.
Exactly.
Perfect.
And you have your other specs that can get a lot more intricate if you want to. So within a 3-spec spectrum, just choose whatever you feel like it. But today we're talking about BM. We recommend it 100%. It's gonna be a blast to play in 10.1
For sure.
If you want to play a range spec that has like a easy time doing anything or everything within the game, then BM Hunter is definitely for you. And it's also for our Patreons who keep supporting all this content. We love you guys. Thanks so much. It means world to us. Thanks so much. We're gonna make a lot of this video series with like mains and specs we may or may not main.
Mostly just stuff that people can essentially pick up and get blasting with. So thank you for supporting the content. If you, dear viewer, also want to support us a little bit more, check the link down in the description. You'll see a bunch of details that might interest you. Thank you, Sunshade, for being a part of this discussion and bringing in a lot of know-how.
It's perfect. All right, thank you for watching. Bye.
Bye.
Been loving it then, I still love it now. Still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. Getting better every day, let me show you how. Cause still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. It's getting harder to stay, but at the end of the day, it's a guilty pleasure, so just log in and play. Whether it's classic or retail, I'ma do a /bow. Still